Webb flipped the table. Coffee exploded across the floor. Plates shattered. His daughter screamed. The entire diner went dead silent. Because the woman standing in front of him, the woman who had just asked, "Can I sit here?" was wearing his dead wife's necklace. The same silver locket. The same tiny diamond chip. The same inscription he had engraved himself 3 days before Rachel died, "Forever yours." He had buried that necklace with her. He had watched them close the casket, and now it was hanging around a stranger's neck. "Where did you get that?" Marcus's voice shook. "Where did you get that?" The woman with one leg stumbled backward, terrified. "Before we begin, tell me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels." Part 1. The Locket, 4,000 words, Osan. "Where did you get that?" Marcus was on his feet. His chair crashed behind him. His hands were shaking so violently he could barely point at the woman's chest. The locket. Rachel's locket. The one he had custom-made for their 5th anniversary. The one she never took off, not once in 3 years. The one he had clasped around her cold neck himself in the funeral home because he couldn't bear the thought of her going into the ground without it. "Sir, I don't—" "Answer me." The diner had turned to stone. Forks frozen mid-air. Conversations dead. 30 pairs of eyes locked on the scene unfolding by the window table. "Daddy?" Lily was crying now, her small hands gripping the edge of the table. "Daddy, stop! You're scaring me!" Marcus didn't hear her. He couldn't hear anything except the blood roaring in his ears and the impossible truth hanging around this stranger's neck. "That necklace," he said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. "That necklace belonged to my wife." The woman's face went white. I bought it," she stammered. "At a pawn shop. In Columbus, 6 months ago." "You're lying." "I'm not. I swear to God I'm not lying. That necklace was buried with my wife. I put it on her myself. I watched them close the casket. So you tell me right now how it ended up around your neck, or I swear to God—" "Sir, please." A waitress had appeared, her hand on Marcus's arm. "Sir, you need to calm down. You're scaring your daughter." Marcus looked down. Lily was sobbing. Tears streaming down her cheeks, her whole body trembling. "Daddy! Daddy, please!" The rage drained out of him like water from a broken pipe. He stared at his hands, still raised, still shaking, and didn't recognize them. What was he doing? What the hell was he doing? "I'm sorry," he heard himself say. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean." He grabbed Lily, scooped her into his arms, and pushed past the woman toward the door. "Wait." He didn't stop. "Wait, please." He was almost at the exit when the woman's voice cut through the chaos. "The inscription says, 'Forever yours, M.W.' Is that you? Are you M.W.?" Marcus froze. His hand on the door. His daughter crying against his chest. His heart slamming against his ribs so hard he thought it might break through. He turned around slowly. The woman was standing where he'd left her, balanced on a single metal crutch. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. But her eyes, God, her eyes were filled with something that looked like desperate hope. "Please," she said. "I think I know who your wife was. I think she saved my life." Marcus didn't remember walking back to the table. He didn't remember sitting down or putting Lily in her booster seat or accepting the fresh cup of coffee the waitress brought without being asked. All he knew was that he was sitting across from a one-legged stranger who claimed his dead wife had saved her life. "Start from the beginning," he said. His voice was hoarse. "And don't leave anything out." The woman, she'd said her name was Nora, took a shaky breath. 3 years ago, I was in a car accident. A drunk driver ran a red light and hit me head-on. I know what a car accident is. Get to the part about my wife." Nora flinched at his tone but continued. "I was trapped in the car. My leg was crushed. I was bleeding out. The drunk driver walked away without a scratch, but I was dying. I could feel it." She paused. Her hand drifted to the locket around her neck. And then this woman appeared, out of nowhere. She wasn't a paramedic, wasn't a firefighter, just a woman in scrubs who happened to be driving by. Marcus's blood turned to ice. Scrubs. She was a nurse. She told me her name was Rachel. She said she was on her way home from a shift at the hospital. Marcus couldn't breathe. She stayed with me, Nora continued. For 45 minutes she stayed with me. She held my hand. She talked to me. She kept me calm while I was bleeding out on the side of the road. The paramedics said later that if she hadn't applied the tourniquet when she did, I would have died before they got there. Lily had stopped crying. She was watching Nora with wide, serious eyes. "The woman who saved you," Marcus said slowly. "What did she look like?" "Blonde hair, green eyes, a small scar on her left eyebrow." Marcus made a sound like a wounded animal. "She cut herself on a cabinet door," he whispered. "When we were moving into our first apartment, she was reaching for a box on the top shelf and—" He couldn't finish. Nora reached across the table. Her hand covered his. "It was her, wasn't it, your wife? Rachel?" Marcus nodded. He didn't trust his voice. "There's more," Nora said quietly. "Something I've never told anyone." "What?" "After the paramedics arrived and they were loading me into the ambulance, Rachel gave me something." She reached behind her neck and unclasped the locket. "She pressed this into my hand. She said, 'If I don't make it home tonight, I want someone to have this. Someone who understands what it means to survive.'" Marcus stared at the locket in Nora's palm. "That doesn't make sense," he said. "Rachel was fine. She came home that night. I remember. We had dinner. We watched a movie. She was fine." "When did she go into the hospital?" 2 weeks later. Routine surgery. Appendix." Nora was silent. "She knew," Marcus breathed. "Oh my God, she knew something was wrong." "I don't think she knew exactly what. But I think she felt it. Some people do before the end. They feel it coming." Marcus picked up the locket with trembling fingers. He pressed the tiny clasp and it sprang open. Inside were 2 photos. On the left, a picture of him and Rachel on their wedding day. On the right, a picture of Lily as a newborn, still wrinkled and red and perfect. "She gave this to you," he said. "She gave you our family." "I didn't know what it meant," Nora said. "I didn't know who she was. I just knew that a stranger had saved my life and given me her most precious possession. I've worn it every day since. It reminds me that I'm alive because someone chose to stop." Marcus closed the locket, held it tight in his fist. "Why are you here?" he asked. "In Cedar Falls." "Why now?" "I've been looking for her. For 3 years I've been trying to find the woman who saved me. I hired a private investigator last year. He traced the necklace to this town, to a woman named Rachel Webb who died 18 months ago." She paused. "I came here to return it, to find her family and give it back. I never expected to find you like this. In a diner. On a random Sunday morning." Marcus looked at this woman, this stranger, who had walked into his life carrying a piece of his dead wife around her neck. "She saved you," he said. "Yes." "And then she died." "Yes." "And now you're here, sitting at my table, wearing her necklace." Nora's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to ambush you. I didn't mean to cause a scene. I just saw the empty chair, and my arms were so tired, and I had no idea." "Stop." She stopped. Marcus exhaled slowly. The rage was gone. The shock was fading, and in its place was something he hadn't felt in 18 months. Connection. "My wife," he said quietly, "spent her whole life taking care of people. That's why she became a nurse. That's why she worked double shifts even when she was exhausted. That's why she stopped on the side of the road to help a stranger who was bleeding to death." He looked at Nora. "She would have liked you." Nora blinked. "What?" "Rachel. She would have liked you. She always said she could tell the good ones, the people who had been through something and came out stronger on the other side." You don't know anything about me. I know you're sitting here 3 years after almost dying wearing a dead woman's necklace because you've been trying to find her family and say thank you. I know you could have pawned that locket for a few $100, but you didn't. I know you walked into a diner on one leg and asked a stranger if you could share his table because your arms were tired. He leaned forward. I know enough. Lily tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Daddy, is the lady okay? Marcus looked at his daughter. She was watching Nora with the same expression Rachel used to get when she saw a stray cat, curious and concerned, and already half in love. Yeah, sweetheart, the lady's okay. Why were you yelling at her? Marcus felt shame wash over him. Because Daddy made a mistake. Daddy thought something bad and he was wrong. And now Daddy needs to apologize. He turned to Nora. I'm sorry. For the table. For the yelling. For scaring you. I saw the necklace and I lost it. You don't have to apologize. If I saw someone wearing my mother's jewelry, I'd probably react the same way. Still, it wasn't right, especially in front of Lily. Lily. Nora smiled at the little girl. That's a beautiful name. Mommy picked it, Lily said proudly. She said lilies are the prettiest flowers because they grow back every year even after the winter kills them. Nora's eyes glistened. Your mommy sounds like she was very wise. She was the smartest person in the whole world, except for Daddy. Daddy's pretty smart too, but he burns the pancakes. Marcus laughed. It surprised him the sound coming out of his own mouth rusty and unfamiliar. I do burn the pancakes, he admitted. That's why we're here. This morning was a disaster. What happened? Lily wanted her mom's blueberry pancakes, the ones with the smiley faces. I tried to make them, but... He shook his head. Smoke alarm, kitchen full of smoke, Lily crying, the whole thing. So you came here? So I came here. Because some mornings surrender is the only option. Nora nodded slowly. I understand that. Some mornings getting out of bed feels like climbing Everest. You too. Every day for the first 2 years, less now, but still sometimes. The waitress came by. They ordered food eggs for Marcus, chocolate chip pancakes for Lily, a short stack with strawberries for Nora. The normalcy of it felt strange. 5 minutes ago, Marcus had been ready to tear this woman apart. Now they were ordering breakfast together. Can I ask you something? Nora said after the waitress left. You can ask. The way you reacted when you saw the necklace? Has that happened before? The rage, I mean. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Yeah, he finally said. It happens. Not as much as it used to, but yeah. Have you talked to anyone about it? You mean a therapist? I mean anyone. Friend, family, professional, anyone. Marcus shook his head. I don't talk about Rachel. Not to anyone. It's easier that way. Easier for who? The question hung in the air. For me, Marcus admitted. It's easier for me. Every time someone brings her up, I have to relive it. The hospital, the doctors coming out with that look on their faces, having to tell Lily that Mommy wasn't coming home. His voice cracked. So I just don't. I don't talk about it. I don't look at pictures. I don't go to her grave. I just keep moving and hope that eventually the pain will stop. Does it work? No. But I don't know what else to do. Nora was silent for a moment. Then she said, After my accident, I didn't talk either. Not for almost a year. I lost my leg. She stopped abruptly. You lost what? Nothing. Never mind. Nora. She looked away. I was pregnant when the accident happened. 7 months. Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. The baby didn't survive. Neither did my relationship. My fiancé left 3 weeks after I got out of the hospital. Said he couldn't look at me without seeing everything we lost. Jesus. So I know something about not talking. about keeping it all inside because letting it out feels like dying all over again. She turned back to him. But here's what I learned: the pain doesn't go away if you ignore it. It just goes underground. It comes out sideways, as anger, as numbness, as flipping tables in diners. Marcus flinched. I'm not saying this to judge you, Nora continued. I'm saying it because I've been where you are. And I wasted 2 years trying to outrun something that was always going to catch me. So what do? How do you live with it? You don't live with it. You carry it. You let it become part of you instead of fighting it. And eventually, not quickly, not easily, but eventually it gets lighter. How long? 3 years for me. And I'm still carrying it. I'll probably carry it forever, but it doesn't crush me anymore. Most days. Lily had been quietly coloring on a napkin during their conversation. Now she looked up. Miss Nora. Yes, sweetheart? Do you miss your baby? The question hit like a hammer. Marcus opened his mouth to intervene, but Nora held up her hand. Every single day, she said softly. Every single day I think about who she would have been, what she would have looked like, what her laugh would have sounded like. I was having a girl. I was going to name her Grace. Lily considered this with the gravity of a child who understood more than she should. I think Grace is in heaven with my mommy, she said. I think they're friends up there, and I think they're both watching us right now. Nora's composure shattered. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She pressed her hand to her mouth, trying to hold back the sobs, but they came anyway, raw and broken and full of grief. Lily climbed down from her seat, walked around the table, and climbed into Nora's lap. Don't cry, she whispered, wrapping her small arms around Nora's neck. Hugs make everything better. Mommy said so. Marcus watched his daughter comfort this broken stranger, and something inside him cracked open. For 18 months, he had been so focused on his own grief that he'd forgotten something important. Lily was grieving too. But instead of shutting down, she was reaching out. Instead of building walls, she was tearing them down. She was 6 years old, and she was braver than he'd ever been. The food arrived. They ate in a different kind of silence. Now not the heavy silence of grief, but the gentle quiet of people who had shared something sacred. Lily showed Nora her napkin drawing a purple horse with wings. Her name is Stardust, Lily explained. She's magic. She can fly to heaven and visit people whenever she wants. That's beautiful, Nora said. Does she visit your mommy? Every night. And now she can visit Grace too. Nora's eyes welled up again, but this time she smiled through the tears. I'd like that. I'd like that very much. Marcus watched them together, his daughter and this woman who had been saved by his wife. It felt surreal. It felt impossible. It felt like something Rachel had orchestrated from beyond the grave. Maybe she had. Maybe some things weren't coincidences. Nora, he said quietly. She looked up. That necklace. I want you to keep it. What? No. Marcus, I can't. Rachel gave it to you. She chose you. She saw something in you that was worth saving, and she gave you the most precious thing she owned. He swallowed hard. If you give it back, it just sits in a drawer. But if you wear it, she's still out there, still making a difference, still saving people. Nora clutched the locket. Are you sure? I'm sure. But it's all you have left of her. Marcus looked at Lily, at her honey blonde curls, at her stubborn chin, at the green eyes that were so much like her mother's. No, he said, it's not. They finished breakfast. Marcus paid for everyone, ignoring Nora's protests. You came all this way to return something precious, he said. The least I can do is buy you pancakes. Outside, the March sun was warm. Marcus carried Lily on his hip while Nora moved carefully on her crutch beside them. At her car, they stopped. So, Nora said, I guess I should go. Where are you staying? The motel on Route 9. Just for a few days. I was going to look for Rachel's family, but—" She smiled sadly. "I found them." "Stay longer." The words surprised Marcus as much as they surprised Nora. "What?" "Stay longer. Cedar Falls isn't much, but it's quiet. Safe. The kind of place where people show up for each other." He paused. "And I think maybe we have more to talk about." Nora stared at him. "Marcus, you don't owe me anything." "This isn't about owing. This is about—" He struggled to find the words. "I don't know what this is. I don't know why my wife saved you, or why you ended up in my diner, or why my daughter is looking at you like you hung the moon. But I know that for the first time in 18 months, I feel like maybe I'm not alone." Lily tugged on his collar. "Daddy, ask her." "Ask her what, sweetheart?" "Ask her to come to our house. I want to show her Mr. Buttons." Nora laughed a real laugh, warm and genuine. "Who's Mr. Buttons?" "My bunny. He only has one ear because I loved him too much." "A bunny with one ear." Nora smiled. "That sounds like a very special bunny." "He is special. Daddy says he's extra lovable because he's different." Nora looked at Marcus. Something passed between them, an understanding, a question, a possibility. "Your daddy sounds pretty smart," she said. "He is, except for the pancakes." They all laughed. And it felt good. It felt real. It felt like the beginning of something. Nora reached into her purse and pulled out a pen. She wrote something on a receipt and handed it to Marcus. "My number, in case you want to talk, or in case Lily wants me to meet Mr. Buttons." Marcus took the paper carefully. "Thank you, for everything, for finding us. Thank you for letting me sit down." She opened her car door, then paused. "Marcus?" "Yeah." "She made the right choice. Your wife. Stopping that day. Saving me." Nora's voice trembled. "I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it." She got in the car and drove away. Marcus stood in the parking lot holding his daughter, holding the phone number of a stranger who had been saved by his wife. "Daddy," Lily said. "Yeah, sweetheart." "I think Mommy sent her to us." Marcus looked at the piece of paper in his hand. "Yeah," he whispered. "I think maybe she did." 3 days passed before Marcus found the courage to call the number. He had stared at that crumpled receipt 100 times. He had picked up his phone, typed in the digits, then deleted them. He had told himself it was too soon, too strange, too complicated. But every night, Lily asked the same question. "When is Miss Nora coming to meet Mr. Buttons?" And every night, Marcus had no answer. On Wednesday evening, after Lily was asleep, he sat alone in the kitchen with a beer he wasn't drinking, and a phone he couldn't stop looking at. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that made the walls feel like they were closing in. He dialed the number before he could talk himself out of it. It rang 3 times. "Hello?" Her voice was softer than he remembered. Cautious. "Nora, it's Marcus, from the diner." A pause. Then, "I wasn't sure you'd call." "Neither was I." Silence stretched between them. Marcus could hear her breathing on the other end. He wondered what she was doing, where she was, if she was as nervous as he was. "How's Lily?" Nora asked. "She's good. She's been asking about you." "Really?" "Every day. She wants you to meet Mr. Buttons. I think she's already planned an entire tea party." Nora laughed. That warm, genuine sound that had surprised him in the diner. "I'd like that," she said. "I'd like that a lot." "Are you still in town?" "I extended my stay at the motel. I wasn't sure. I didn't know if I should leave or—" "Don't leave." The words came out faster than Marcus intended, more desperate. "I mean," he said, trying to recover, "you came all this way. You should at least see the town. It's not much, but there's a decent coffee shop on Main Street. And the library has this garden in the back that Rachel always loved." He stopped. He had said her name, out loud, to another person. It was the first time in 18 months. "Marcus," Nora said gently. "Are you okay?" "I don't know. I don't know what I am." He ran his hand through his hair. "I just know that since Sunday something feels different, and I'm not sure if that's good or terrifying." "Maybe it's both." "Yeah, maybe." Another pause. But this one felt less awkward, more like two people finding their rhythm. "There's a park," Marcus said. "Riverside Park down by the creek. Lily and I go there sometimes on Saturday mornings. She likes to feed the ducks." "Are you inviting me to feed ducks?" "I'm inviting you to... I don't know what I'm inviting you to. I just know my daughter lights up when she talks about you, and I haven't seen her light up like that in a long time." Nora was quiet for a moment. "Saturday morning," she said. "What time?" 9 o'clock, by the big oak tree near the parking lot. "I'll be there." Marcus exhaled. He hadn't realized he'd been holding his breath. "Nora." "Yeah. Thank you for answering. Thank you for calling." He hung up and sat there in the dark kitchen feeling something he hadn't felt in 18 months. Hope. Saturday came faster than Marcus expected. He woke up at 6, which was unusual. He showered and actually looked at himself in the mirror, which was more unusual. He trimmed his beard for the first time in weeks and put on a clean flannel shirt instead of the stained one he'd been wearing for 3 days. Lily noticed immediately. "Daddy, you look different." "Different how?" "Less sad." The words hit him like a punch to the chest. "I'm working on it, sweetheart." "Is it because of Miss Nora?" Marcus didn't know how to answer that, so he didn't. "Come on," he said. "Let's get breakfast. We're meeting someone at the park." Lily's face exploded into excitement. "Miss Nora! We're seeing Miss Nora!" "We're seeing Miss Nora." Lily squealed and ran to her room. She came back wearing her favorite purple dress, the one she saved for special occasions, and she was carrying a plastic bag full of bread crusts she'd been saving all week. "For the ducks," she explained, "and for Miss Nora, because sharing is caring." Marcus smiled. "That's right, sweetheart. Sharing is caring." They drove to the park in comfortable silence. Lily hummed a song from her favorite cartoon. Marcus kept his eyes on the road, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. What was he doing? He barely knew this woman. They had shared one breakfast, one conversation, one impossible connection through his dead wife's necklace. And now he was bringing his daughter to meet her like it was some kind of... He stopped the thought before it could finish. This wasn't a date. This was two people who had both lost something finding comfort in shared grief. That's all it was. That's all it could be, right? Nora was already there when they arrived. She was sitting on a bench near the big oak tree, her crutch leaning against the armrest. She was wearing a simple blue dress, and her auburn hair was loose around her shoulders. The silver locket glinted in the morning sun. Lily saw her first. "Miss Nora." She broke free from Marcus's hand and sprinted across the grass, nearly tackling Nora in a hug. "Whoa!" Nora laughed, catching her. "Someone's excited." "I brought bread for the ducks, and I wore my special dress, and Daddy trimmed his beard because he wanted to look nice for you." Marcus felt his face flush red. "Lily, it's true. You looked in the mirror for like 10 whole minutes. You never do that." Nora looked at Marcus with a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. 10 whole minutes, huh? She's exaggerating. Am not? Okay, maybe she's not exaggerating. Nora laughed again, and something loosened in Marcus's chest. He sat down on the bench beside her, careful to leave a respectable distance between them. "Thanks for coming," he said. "Thanks for inviting me. I've been going a little stir-crazy at that motel. I can imagine. The Route 9 motel isn't exactly the Ritz. It has character, and by character I mean the ceiling makes a weird noise every time someone flushes the toilet upstairs." Marcus laughed. A real laugh. It felt strange in his throat, like a muscle he hadn't used in too long. Lily was already running toward the pond, her bag of bread crusts clutched in her hand. "She's amazing," Nora said, watching her go. "How does she have so much energy at 9 in the morning?" "I ask myself that every day. I think she runs on pure enthusiasm and chocolate chip pancakes." "There are worse things to run on." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching Lily toss bread to the ducks. She was narrating the entire process, giving each duck a name and a backstory. "That one's Gerald, he's the boss, and that one's Princess Feathers. She's shy, but she's actually the smartest one." Nora smiled. "She has quite an imagination. She gets that from her mother." The words came out before Marcus could stop them. He tensed, waiting for the familiar wave of pain. But it didn't come. Not the way it usually did. "Tell me about her," Nora said quietly. "Rachel, tell me something the newspapers wouldn't know." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "She talked to plants." Nora blinked. "What?" "She had this garden in the backyard. Tomatoes, cucumbers, herbs. And every morning she'd go out there with her coffee and talk to them. Like they were friends. She'd say things like, 'Good morning, Mr. Tomato, you're looking very handsome today.' Or, 'Come on, Basil, I know you can do better than that.'" He shook his head, smiling at the memory. "I used to tease her about it. I'd say, 'You know they can't hear you right.' And she'd look at me with this completely serious face and say, 'How do you know? Have you ever asked them?'" Nora was laughing now, soft and warm. "She sounds wonderful." She was. She was the most alive person I've ever known. Everything she did completely. Full heart, full commitment, no holding back. He paused. "That's why she stopped that day. On the road, when she saw your car." Nora's hand drifted to the locket. "I've thought about that moment 1,000 times," she said. "I've wondered what made her stop. There were other cars. Other people who drove right past. But she stopped. That's who she was. She couldn't not stop. She saw someone who needed help and nothing else mattered. Even if it meant she might be late. Even if it meant putting herself at risk. Especially then. She used to say that the moments when it's hardest to do the right thing are the moments when it matters most." Lily came running back, her bag of bread empty. "Gerald ate the most," she announced. "But Princess Feathers got the biggest piece because I saved it for her special." "That was very thoughtful," Nora said. "I know. I'm a good duck friend." She climbed up onto the bench between them. "Miss Nora, do you like ducks?" "I do. I like all animals. Even spiders." "Well, maybe not spiders." "That's okay. Daddy doesn't like spiders either. He screams like a little girl when he sees them." "I do not. You do too. Remember when there was one in the bathtub and you made me come get it with a cup because you were too scared?" Marcus buried his face in his hands. "Lily, you're killing me here." Nora was laughing so hard she was crying. "A big tough guy like you scared of spiders. They have too many legs. It's unnatural," says the man who was ready to flip a table at a woman with one leg. Marcus froze. Nora froze. Neither of them had mentioned Sunday. Not directly. Not the table. Not the yelling. Not the moment when Marcus had lost control completely. "I'm sorry," Nora said quickly. I shouldn't have." "No." Marcus shook his head. "You're right. I was out of control. I scared you. I scared Lily. I scared myself. You were in shock. You saw something impossible. That's not an excuse. No, it's not. But it's an explanation." She turned to face him. "Marcus, can I tell you something?" "Yeah." "When you flipped that table when you started yelling, I wasn't scared of you. I was scared for you." "What do you mean?" "I recognized what I was seeing. That kind of rage, that explosion. It comes from a place of deep, unprocessed pain. It's what happens when you've been holding everything in for so long that it has nowhere to go." Marcus stared at the ground. After my accident, Nora continued, I had moments like that. Not in public, not where anyone could see. But alone in my apartment, I would just break. I'd throw things, scream into pillows. Once I put my fist through a wall. You, me, the nice one-legged lady who asks to share tables. She smiled sadly. Grief does things to us, Marcus. It turns us into people we don't recognize. And if we don't find a way to let it out safely, it finds its own way out. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I don't know how, he finally said. I don't know how to let it out. Every time I try to talk about her, my throat closes up. Every time I think about what happened, I feel like I'm drowning. Have you tried writing? Writing letters. To Rachel. You don't have to send them anywhere. You just write. Whatever you're feeling. Whatever you wish you could say to her. That sounds stupid, I know. I thought the same thing when my therapist suggested it, but it helped. More than I expected. You have a therapist. I do. 3 years now. Best decision I ever made. She paused. I could give you her name. She does phone sessions. Marcus wanted to say no. He wanted to say that he didn't need a therapist, that he was handling things fine on his own, that talking to a stranger about his feelings sounded like the worst possible way to spend an hour. But then he looked at Lily. She was watching a butterfly that had landed on a nearby flower, her face full of wonder. She deserved better than a father who was barely holding it together. Okay, he said. Nora looked surprised. Okay. Give me the name. I'm not promising anything, but okay. Kit. They stayed at the park until noon. Lily exhausted herself running between the duck pond and the playground, while Marcus and Nora talked about everything and nothing. Favorite books. Worst jobs they'd ever had. The absurdity of Ohio weather. It felt normal. It felt easy. It felt like something Marcus had forgotten was possible. When it was time to leave, Lily threw her arms around Nora and refused to let go. I don't want you to leave. I'm not leaving forever, sweetheart, just for today. But what if you don't come back? The question hung in the air. It was innocent, childlike. But Marcus heard the fear underneath it. The same fear that kept him up at night. Everyone leaves. Everyone leaves eventually. Nora knelt down so she was eye level with Lily. Can I tell you a secret? Lily nodded. I don't have very many friends in this town. Actually, I don't have any friends in this town. You and your daddy are the only people who've been nice to me since I got here. She tucked a strand of hair behind Lily's ear. So I'm not going anywhere. Not until you get tired of me. I'll never get tired of you. Then I guess I'm staying. Lily hugged her again, then ran to the car. Marcus and Nora stood there for a moment, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. Thank you, Marcus said. For today. For what you said to her. I meant it. Every word. I know. That's what scares me. Nora tilted her head. Why does it scare you? Because the last person who meant every word, I lost her. And I don't know if I can survive losing someone again. Nora was quiet for a moment. You know what I've learned about loss, she said. It's going to happen. No matter how careful we are, no matter how many walls we build, we can't stop people from leaving. All we can do is decide whether the time we have with them is worth the pain of saying goodbye. And is it worth it? Every time. Every single time. She reached out and squeezed his hand, just for a second, just enough to let him know she understood. Then she grabbed her crutch and headed toward her car. Same time next Saturday, she called over her shoulder. Marcus watched her go. Same time next Saturday, he said. Oh, the weeks that followed changed everything. Saturday mornings at the park became a ritual. Then Tuesday dinners at the diner. Then Thursday phone calls that lasted 2 hours without either of them noticing. Marcus started seeing the therapist Nora recommended. Her name was Dr. Chen, and she didn't let him get away with anything. "You say you're fine," she said during their third session. "But you haven't said Rachel's name once in 45 minutes. I said it last week. Once. In passing. When you were talking about the necklace." Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "What do you want me to say?" "I want you to tell me about her, not the facts, not the story. Her. The person she was when no one was watching." Marcus was quiet for a long time. "She sang in the shower," he finally said. "Terribly. Off-key, wrong lyrics. She'd belt out these songs she half remembered and make up the parts she forgot." Dr. Chen smiled. "Go on." "She was afraid of thunderstorms. Not the lightning, the thunder. She said it sounded like the sky was angry. So whenever there was a storm, she'd make a blanket fort in the living room and we'd hide in there together like kids." His voice cracked. "She left notes everywhere. In my lunchbox, in my jacket pockets, on the bathroom mirror. Little things like, 'You're my favorite human,' or 'Don't forget you're wonderful.' I found one 3 months after she died, in a coat I hadn't worn since winter. It said, 'I'll love you forever,' and that's not even long enough." He couldn't continue. The tears came hot and fast, and he didn't try to stop them. "There it is," Dr. Chen said softly. "There she is." That night, Marcus did something he hadn't done in 18 months. He went to Rachel's grave. It was dark when he got there. The cemetery was empty. Just him and the headstone, and the weight of everything unsaid. "Hey," he said, his voice breaking. "It's me." The wind rustled through the trees. An owl hooted somewhere in the distance. "I know I haven't been here. I know I've been avoiding this. Avoiding you." He sank down onto the grass. "But I met someone. A woman you saved 3 years ago. She's been helping me." He traced his fingers over Rachel's name carved in stone. "I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I'm feeling. But for the first time since I lost you, I feel like maybe I can keep going. Maybe I can be the father Lily deserves." Tears streamed down his face. "I'll never stop loving you. You know that, right? No matter what happens, no matter who comes into our lives, you'll always be my first love. My best love." He pressed his palm flat against the cold stone. "But I can't keep dying with you, Rachel. I can't keep visiting you in the grave when my daughter needs me alive." He stayed there for an hour talking to her about Lily, about the burnt pancakes, about the woman with one leg who wore her necklace like a sacred promise. And when he finally stood to leave, he felt something shift inside him. Not closure, not healing, but permission. Permission to live. 2 days later, Nora showed up at the lumberyard where Marcus worked. He was covered in sawdust and sweat loading planks onto a truck when he saw her car pull into the lot. "Nora, what are you doing here?" "I got a job." "What?" "A job. Here in Cedar Falls. The community college library. They offered me the position this morning." Marcus stared at her. "You're staying." "I'm staying." "In Cedar Falls." "In Cedar Falls." "For a library job." Nora stepped closer. Close enough that he could smell her perfume, something soft and floral. "The job is part of it," she said. "But there's something else." "What?" "I was going to leave. After Sunday at the diner, I was going to return the necklace and go back to Columbus. That was the plan." "What changed?" "You did. You and Lily." She looked at him with those green eyes, the ones that still made his heart stutter. "I've spent 3 years feeling like a ghost. Like I was alive but not really living. And then I walked into that diner and I asked to share a table with a stranger, and suddenly I felt real again." Marcus couldn't speak. "I'm not asking for anything," Nora continued quickly. "I'm not trying to replace anyone or push you into something you're not ready for. I want to be here, near the only people who've made me feel like myself since the accident." Marcus should have said something cautious. Something about taking things slow, about being careful, about protecting himself and his daughter. Instead, he said, "Have dinner with us." "What?" "Tonight. At our house. Lily's been asking about you every day, and I'm making spaghetti, which I actually can't burn because it's basically impossible to burn pasta." Nora laughed. That beautiful, real laugh. "You'd be surprised. My ex managed to burn water once." "How do you burn water?" "I still don't know. It remains one of life's great mysteries." They were smiling at each other like idiots. Marcus knew it. He didn't care. "So?" he said. "Dinner?" Nora nodded. "Dinner." That night, something shifted. Lily was ecstatic to have Nora in their home. She gave her a complete tour which included introducing every single stuffed animal by name and demonstrating the exact way Mr. Buttons liked to be held. "He doesn't like his ear touched," Lily explained solemnly. "The missing one. It makes him sad." "I understand," Nora said with equal solemnity. "I won't touch it." Marcus watched them from the kitchen, stirring sauce and feeling something dangerous bloom in his chest. Hope. Joy. Possibility. After dinner, Lily insisted on showing Nora her mother's garden. "Daddy doesn't take care of it anymore," she said, leading Nora through the back door. "It's all messy now, but Mommy loved it." Marcus followed them outside, bracing himself. The garden was overgrown. Weeds had taken over the beds. The tomato cages had collapsed. Everything Rachel had planted with such care had been reclaimed by chaos. "I couldn't," Marcus said quietly. "After she died, I couldn't bring myself to go out there." Nora reached for his hand. "Tell me about it. The way it used to be." So he did. He told her about the rows of tomatoes, the herbs along the border, the sunflowers Rachel planted every spring because they made her happy. He told her about the mornings she spent out here with her coffee talking to plants like old friends. And as he talked, something happened. The garden stopped being a reminder of what he'd lost. It started being a reminder of what he'd had. "We should fix it," Lily said suddenly. "What, sweetheart?" "The garden. We should fix it. For Mommy." Marcus looked at Nora. She was looking back at him. "I don't know anything about gardening," she admitted. "But I'm a fast learner." Marcus looked at the overgrown beds, at the collapsed cages, at the chaos where beauty used to be. "Okay," he said. "Let's fix it." Lily cheered, and Marcus felt for the first time in 18 months like maybe broken things could grow again. They started the next morning. Nora showed up at 7 with coffee and gardening gloves she'd bought at the hardware store. Marcus had spent half the night reading articles about garden rehabilitation on his phone. "I have no idea what I'm doing," he admitted. "Neither do I. But that's never stopped us before." They worked side by side, pulling weeds and clearing debris. Lily helped by collecting worms in a bucket because she wanted to start a worm farm. "They eat garbage and make dirt," she explained. "It's like magic." By noon, the garden looked less like a disaster zone and more like a blank canvas. "We need to plant something," Nora said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "What did Rachel grow? Tomatoes. Always tomatoes. She said they were the heart of any good garden. Then we plant tomatoes." They drove to the garden center together. Lily ran ahead, picking out every flower she thought was pretty. Marcus found tomato seedlings and basil plants and a packet of sunflower seeds. "For Rachel," he said, holding up the seeds. Nora smiled. "For Rachel." That night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus and Nora sat on the back porch, looking at the freshly turned soil. "Thank you," Marcus said. "For what?" "For this. For all of it. For showing up. For staying." Nora was quiet for a moment. "Can I tell you something?" "Always." When I woke up in the hospital after the accident, missing my leg, missing my baby, missing everything I thought my life was going to be, I wanted to die. Marcus turned to look at her. Not in an active way. I wasn't going to do anything. But I kept thinking, what's the point? What's the point of surviving if everything worth living for is gone? What changed? I remembered what Rachel said to me. On the side of the road while I was bleeding out. She held my hand and she said, "You're going to survive this because you're supposed to. There's something waiting for you on the other side of this pain." Her voice trembled. I didn't know what she meant at the time. I thought she was just saying whatever she could to keep me calm. But now, she looked at him. Now I think she knew. Somehow. She knew that 3 years later, I would walk into a diner and ask to share a table with her husband. Marcus's breath caught. "Nora, I'm not saying this to pressure you. I'm not saying this because I expect anything. I'm saying it because you deserve to know." She took a deep breath. Rachel saved me twice. Once on the side of the road, and once by leading me to you. Marcus couldn't speak. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. Everything he thought he knew about grief, about love, about moving on it, was all crumbling away. And in its place was something new, something terrifying, something beautiful. "I'm scared," he admitted. "So am I. I don't know how to do this." "Neither do I." "What if I mess it up?" Nora reached over and took his hand. "Then we mess it up together, and we figure it out, just like we figured out the garden." Marcus looked at their intertwined fingers, at this woman who had walked into his life carrying a piece of his dead wife around her neck, at this impossible, beautiful, broken person who somehow fit into the spaces he didn't know were empty. He didn't kiss her, not yet. But he didn't let go of her hand either. And that felt like enough, for now. Summer arrived with heat and promise, and Marcus found himself becoming someone he didn't recognize. He smiled more. He slept better. He stopped reaching for Rachel's side of the bed every morning, not because he'd forgotten, but because the emptiness didn't feel like a wound anymore. It felt like a scar. Still there. Still part of him. But healed enough to touch without bleeding. Nora had moved into a small apartment near the college library. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom with creaky floors and a window that stuck when it rained. But she made it hers. Books everywhere. Plants on every surface. Photos of Elliot, her brother, covering the refrigerator door. "He's coming to visit next month," she told Marcus one evening. They were sitting on her tiny balcony watching the sun go down. Lily was inside building a tower with blocks Nora kept just for her. "First time since I moved here." "Are you nervous?" "Terrified. He's never seen me like this. Happy, I mean. He's only ever known the broken version." "You're not broken." "Neither are you." She smiled. "Look at us. Two unbroken people pretending they have it all figured out." Marcus laughed. It came easier now, the laughter, like a muscle he'd finally remembered how to use. "I want you to meet him," Nora said. "Elliot. I want him to meet you and Lily." "Are you sure?" "I've told him about you, both of you. He's curious." "What did you tell him?" "The truth. That I met a man whose wife saved my life. That his daughter is the most remarkable 6-year-old I've ever known. That for the first time in 3 years, I feel like I'm actually living instead of just surviving." Marcus didn't know what to say, so he reached over and took her hand. It had become natural now, the touching. Small gestures, brief connections. Nothing more. Not yet. But the wanting was there, growing stronger every day. "Nora." "Yeah, I need to tell you something." She turned to face him. Her green eyes caught the fading sunlight. "I've been talking to Dr. Chen about you, about us, about whatever this is." "What does she say?" "She says I need to be honest, with myself, with you." He took a breath. "I'm falling for you, Nora. I've been trying not to. I've been telling myself it's too soon, it's too complicated, it's not fair to Rachel's memory. But it's happening anyway. Nora was quiet. I don't know what to do with that, Marcus continued. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. But I couldn't keep pretending I don't feel it. Marcus, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. Marcus, stop talking. He stopped. Nora leaned forward and kissed him. It was soft, brief, barely more than a brush of lips, but it sent electricity through every nerve in Marcus's body. When she pulled back, her eyes were shining. I've been waiting for you to say that for 2 months, she whispered. You have. I didn't want to push. I knew you needed time. I knew there were things you had to work through. But every time you held my hand, every time you looked at me like I was something precious, I kept thinking, maybe. Maybe what? Maybe this is what Rachel meant. When she told me something was waiting on the other side of the pain. Maybe it was you. Marcus pulled her close and kissed her again. Really kissed her this time, and it felt like coming home. They told Lily the next morning. Marcus had agonized over how to explain it. She was 6. She'd lost her mother. The last thing he wanted was to confuse her or make her feel like Rachel was being replaced. But Lily, as always, was 3 steps ahead of everyone. So Miss Nora is your girlfriend now? She asked, looking up from her cereal. Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. How did you... I saw you kissing on the balcony last night. I was looking for my purple crayon, and I saw through the window. Marcus's face went red. Are you okay with that, sweetheart? Lily thought about it for a moment. Really thought about it, with that serious expression she got when considering important matters. Does Miss Nora make you happy? She does. Does she make you less sad about Mommy? She helps me remember the good things instead of just the sad things. And she likes me. She loves you, sweetheart. Lily nodded slowly. Then I'm okay with it. She paused. But you have to promise me something. Anything. Promise you won't forget Mommy. Promise we'll still talk about her and visit her grave and plant sunflowers for her. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. I promise. We will never ever forget Mommy. Okay then. Lily went back to her cereal. Can Miss Nora come to my birthday party next month? Of course she can. Good. I want her to see my new dress. It has sparkles. And just like that, it was settled. But not everyone was as accepting as Lily. Marcus's mother Helen called that afternoon. Someone had seen him and Nora kissing at the park, and in a town like Cedar Falls, news traveled fast. Is it true? Helen's voice was sharp. You're seeing someone? Mom. It's been less than 2 years, Marcus. Rachel hasn't even been gone 2 years. It's been 20 months. That's not long enough. Marcus gripped the phone tighter. Long enough for what? Mom, long enough to stop missing her. I'm never going to stop missing her. Long enough to stop loving her. That's never going to happen either. But I can't put my life on hold forever. I can't keep punishing myself for surviving. No one's asking you to punish yourself. But this woman, this stranger, her name is Nora, and she's not a stranger. Rachel saved her life 3 years ago. She was wearing Rachel's necklace when I met her. Silence on the other end. What? Marcus told her the whole story. The diner. The locket. The impossible connection that had brought Nora into his life. When he finished, Helen was quiet for a long time. I need to meet her, she finally said. Before I decide how I feel about this, I need to meet her. That's fair. Sunday dinner. Bring her. And bring my granddaughter. I haven't seen Lily in 3 weeks. We'll be there, Mom. Marcus. Yeah. I want you to be happy. You know that, right? I miss her too. Rachel. I miss her every day. I know, Mom. I know. Sunday dinner was a disaster from the start. Helen greeted Nora with a handshake so cold it could have frozen water. She complimented her dress in a way that somehow sounded like an insult. She asked about her job, her family, her accident with the precision of a prosecutor building a case. "So you were in Columbus when this happened?" Helen asked, passing the mashed potatoes. "Yes, ma'am." "And you moved here specifically to find Rachel's family?" "I moved here to return the necklace. I didn't know what I would find." "But you found Marcus, and now you're dating him." "Mom." Marcus's voice carried a warning. "I'm just trying to understand the timeline," Helen said innocently. "It seems rather convenient, don't you think? A woman shows up out of nowhere wearing my daughter-in-law's jewelry, and suddenly she's part of the family." Nora set down her fork. "Mrs. Webb, I understand why you're suspicious. If our positions were reversed, I would be too." "Would you?" "Yes, because I loved someone once, and I lost them. Not the way Marcus lost Rachel, but I lost them. So I know what it feels like to watch someone else step into a space that still feels sacred." Helen's expression flickered. "I'm not trying to replace your daughter-in-law," Nora continued. "No one could replace her. She was extraordinary. The kind of person who stops on the side of the road to save a stranger's life. The kind of person who gives away her most precious possession to someone she'll never see again." She touched the locket at her throat. "I wear this necklace because it reminds me that I'm alive for a reason. That Rachel gave me a second chance and I owe it to her to live that chance well. That includes being honest with you." "Honest about what?" "I love your son. I didn't plan to. I didn't expect to. But I do. And I love your granddaughter. And I'm not going anywhere unless they ask me to go." Helen stared at her. Lily, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Grandma Miss Nora helped Daddy fix Mommy's garden. We planted tomatoes and sunflowers. Daddy said Mommy would be happy." Helen turned to Marcus. "You fixed the garden." "We did. Together. You hadn't touched that garden in almost 2 years." "I know. You couldn't even look at it." "I know, Mom." Helen's eyes filled with tears. Not sad tears. Something else. Something complicated. "Rachel loved that garden," she whispered. "She did. And now it's growing again. Because Nora helped me see that taking care of it wasn't betraying Rachel's memory. It was honoring it." Helen was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to Nora. "What's your favorite flower?" The question caught everyone off guard. "Excuse me, your favorite flower, what is it?" Lilies. I've always loved lilies." Helen nodded slowly. "Rachel's favorite too. She said they were the prettiest flowers because they come back every year, even after the hardest winters. Lily told me that, the first day we met." Helen looked at her granddaughter, then at Marcus, then at Nora. "I need time," she said finally. "This is a lot to process, but I'm willing to try." It wasn't acceptance, not yet, but it was a start. August brought Elliot to Cedar Falls. Nora was a nervous wreck the morning he arrived. She'd changed her outfit 4 times, reorganized her apartment twice, and called Marcus 3 times to ask if she was making a huge mistake. "He's your brother," Marcus said. "He loves you. He's 15 now. Teenagers are terrifying. Lily's 6 and she terrifies me daily. You'll be fine." Elliot's bus arrived at noon. Nora was waiting at the station, shifting her weight on her crutch, her heart pounding. The doors opened. A tall kid with messy brown hair and gangly limbs stepped off. He looked around, searching the crowd. Then he saw her. "Simone!" He ran. Full sprint. Nearly knocked her over when he crashed into her. "Whoa, careful!" Nora laughed, wrapping her arms around him. "I only have one leg, remember?" "I remember, I just don't care." He squeezed her tighter. "God, I missed you." "I missed you too. Let me look at you." She pulled back, studying his face. "When did you get so tall? When did you get so happy?" The question caught her off guard. "What? You're different. I can see it in your face. Something's changed." Nora smiled. Something has. Come on. There are some people I want you to meet. Marcus and Lily were waiting at the apartment. Lily had insisted on making a welcome banner, which she'd decorated with approximately 400 stickers and a drawing of what she claimed was a firefighter, but looked more like a purple blob with a helmet. "That's supposed to be me?" Elliot asked, studying the drawing. "Duh. You want to be a firefighter. Miss Nora told me." "I do want to be a firefighter, but I'm not sure I'm that purple." "Purple is the best color. Everyone knows that." Elliot grinned. "I like her," he said to Nora. "She's got opinions." "She's got plenty of those." Marcus stepped forward, extending his hand. "You must be Elliot. I've heard a lot about you." "You must be Marcus. I've heard a lot about you too." Elliot shook his hand, then looked him directly in the eye. "You're the guy whose wife saved my sister." "I am." "Then I owe you a thank you." "For what?" "For sharing her with us. Your wife, I mean. She could have kept driving that day. Most people would have. But she stopped. And because she stopped, I still have a sister." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Rachel would have liked you," he said. "She had a soft spot for brave kids." "I'm not that brave. You want to run into burning buildings for a living? That sounds pretty brave to me." Elliot smiled. For a moment, he looked like the 7-year-old Nora had carried out of a burning apartment, small and scared and full of wonder. "Can I ask you something?" Elliot said. "Sure. Do you make my sister happy?" Marcus glanced at Nora. She was watching them both with tears in her eyes. "I try to. Every day." "Good. Because she deserves to be happy. She spent a long time being sad. Too long." "I know. I spent a long time being sad too." "Then maybe you can be happy together. That seems fair." Lily tugged on Elliot's sleeve. "Do you want to see my stuffed animals? I have 47 of them. Mr. Buttons is the most important one. He only has one ear." "A bunny with one ear." "My sister has one leg, same thing." Elliot burst out laughing. "She's definitely my favorite person here," he told Nora. "No offense." "None taken. She's my favorite too, Ted." The next few days were chaos in the best possible way. Elliot wanted to see everything. The diner where Marcus and Nora met. The park where they fed ducks. Rachel's grave, where he stood silently for 10 minutes before placing a small firefighter patch against the headstone. "Thank you," he whispered, "for stopping." Marcus watched from a distance, his heart breaking and healing at the same time. On Elliot's last night in town, they all had dinner together at Marcus's house. Nora cooked spaghetti, which she somehow managed to burn despite Marcus's assurances that it was impossible. "I told you," she said, scraping charred noodles into the trash. "I'm a disaster in the kitchen." "You're a beautiful disaster," Marcus said. "That's not the compliment you think it is." "It absolutely is." Elliot and Lily were at the table, engaged in an intense debate about which superhero would win in a fight. "Batman," Lily insisted. "He has gadgets." "Superman has heat vision. He could melt the gadgets." "Batman would make anti-heat vision gadgets." "That's not a thing." "It could be. He's a genius." Marcus watched them argue and felt something settle in his chest. This chaotic, messy, beautiful family that had somehow formed from tragedy and loss. This was what Rachel had given them. Not just Nora's life, but this. All of this. After dinner, Elliot pulled Marcus aside. "Can I talk to you alone?" "Of course." They stepped onto the back porch. The garden was in full bloom now. Tomatoes hung heavy on the vines. Sunflowers swayed in the evening breeze. "I need to ask you something," Elliot said. "And I need you to be honest." "Okay." "Are you going to marry my sister?" Marcus blinked. "We've only been together a few months." "That's not an answer." I don't know yet. I love her. I want her in my life. But that's a big step. For her or for you? For both of us. Elliot nodded slowly. When I was 7, my sister carried me out of a burning building. She lost her leg saving my life. I've spent 8 years trying to figure out how to repay that. You can't repay something like that. I know, but I can protect her. I can make sure the people in her life are the right people. He looked Marcus directly in the eye. Are you the right person? I'm trying to be. That's not good enough. Marcus felt a flash of frustration. What do you want me to say? That I'm perfect? That I'll never hurt her? That everything will be sunshine and roses forever? I can't promise that. No one can. Then what can you promise? Marcus thought for a moment. I can promise that I'll show up. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I can promise that I'll be honest with her even when the truth is ugly. I can promise that I'll love her for exactly who she is, not who I want her to be. He paused. And I can promise that if she ever wants to leave, I'll let her go. Because loving someone means wanting their happiness, even if that happiness isn't with you. Elliot was quiet for a long time. Then he extended his hand. Take care of her, Marcus. She's all I have. Marcus shook his hand. She's not all you have anymore. You have us too. Elliot left the next morning. Nora cried at the bus station. She held him tight and made him promise to call every week and text every day and send more firefighter drawings because Lily had started a collection. I'm proud of you, Elliot whispered. I know I don't say it enough, but I'm so proud of who you've become. I'm proud of you too, future firefighter. Not future anymore. I start training next year. The academy accepted my early application. Nora pulled back, her eyes wide. What? When? I got the letter last week. I wanted to tell you in person. Elliot. She hugged him again, laughing and crying at the same time. That's amazing. That's incredible. I can't believe you didn't tell me sooner. I wanted to see your face. It was worth the wait. The bus doors opened. Elliot grabbed his bag. Marcus, he called over his shoulder. Remember what I said? I remember. Good. And then he was gone. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Elliot's question. Are you going to marry my sister? He hadn't let himself think about marriage. It felt too soon, too fast, too much like tempting fate. But the question had planted a seed, and now he couldn't stop it from growing. He got up and walked to the living room. Rachel's photo was on the mantel. He picked it up and studied her face. That smile he'd fallen in love with. Those eyes he still saw in his daughter every day. What do I do, Rach? He whispered. How do I know if it's right? The house was silent. But in that silence, Marcus remembered something Rachel had said once years ago, when they were first dating, and he was terrified of commitment. Love isn't about certainty, Marcus. It's about choosing someone and then choosing them again every day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. He set the photo down. He knew what he had to do. The next morning, Marcus drove to a jewelry store in the next town over. He spent 2 hours looking at rings, rejecting anything too flashy, or too simple, or too similar to what he'd given Rachel. Finally, the jeweler showed him a ring that stopped him cold. It was rose gold with a small diamond flanked by 2 tiny emeralds. The emeralds represent new beginnings, the jeweler explained. A lot of people choose them for second chances. Second chances. Marcus bought the ring. He wasn't going to propose right away. He needed time. Nora needed time. They both needed to be sure. But having the ring felt like a promise. A commitment to the future he was finally ready to build. On the drive home, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Nora. Something's wrong. Call me. Marcus's blood went cold. He pulled over and dialed her number. She answered on the first ring. "Marcus?" Her voice was shaking. "I need you to come to my apartment. Right now." "What's wrong? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, but there's someone here. Someone who wants to see you." "Who?" A long pause, then a voice Marcus hadn't heard in 2 years. "Hey, brother. Long time no see." The phone nearly slipped from Marcus's hand. It was David, Rachel's brother, the man Marcus hadn't spoken to since the funeral, the man who blamed him for Rachel's death. Marcus drove to Nora's apartment in a blur. His hands were shaking on the steering wheel. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. David, Rachel's brother, the man who had stood at the funeral and refused to look at him, the man who had whispered to relatives that Marcus should have been the one to die instead. He hadn't seen David in 2 years, hadn't spoken to him, hadn't tried, because some wounds were too deep to bridge. Marcus parked crookedly and took the stairs 2 at a time. He didn't knock, just pushed open the door. David was standing in the middle of Nora's living room. He looked older, thinner. His dark hair had streaks of gray that hadn't been there before. His eyes were bloodshot, and he smelled faintly of whiskey. "Marcus," David's voice was flat. "You look good. Life treating you well?" "What are you doing here, David?" "Came to see my sister-in-law." "Oh, wait." He laughed bitterly. "She's dead. So I guess I came to see the woman who replaced her." Nora was standing near the kitchen, her face pale. "Marcus, I tried to get him to leave. He just showed up. I didn't know who he was until—" "It's okay." Marcus stepped between her and David. "This is between me and him." "Protecting your new girlfriend," David sneered. "That's sweet. Real sweet. You always were the protective type. Shame you couldn't protect my sister." "David, she trusted you. She trusted you to take care of her. And you let her die in a hospital bed while you were at work." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. "I was there when she died. I was holding her hand." "You were there at the end. Where were you before? Where were you when she was in surgery? Where were you when things started going wrong?" "I was in the waiting room. The doctor said everything was fine. They said it was routine." "Routine!" David's voice exploded. "My sister is dead, Marcus. There's nothing routine about that." Nora stepped forward. "You need to calm down." "Who the hell are you?" David rounded on her. "Some random woman he picked up. You don't get to tell me to calm down. You don't get to stand there in my sister's necklace and tell me anything." Nora's hand flew to the locket. "How do you know about this necklace?" "Because I was there when Marcus bought it. I was there when he had it engraved. I was there when he gave it to Rachel on their anniversary, and she cried because she said it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen." His voice cracked. "And now it's hanging around your neck like it means nothing." "It means everything," Nora said quietly. "That's why I wear it." "You didn't know her?" "No, but she saved my life." David went still. "What?" Nora looked at Marcus. He nodded. 3 years ago," she said. "I was in a car accident. I was dying on the side of the road. Your sister stopped. She stayed with me for 45 minutes. She held my hand and kept me calm, and applied a tourniquet that saved my life." David stared at her. "Before the paramedics took me away, she gave me this necklace. She said if she didn't make it home, she wanted someone to have it. Someone who understood what it meant to survive." "That doesn't make sense." "Rachel came home that night. She was fine. She was fine for 2 more weeks. And then she wasn't." David's face crumpled. "She knew," he whispered. "She knew something was wrong." "I think she felt it," Nora said. "I don't know how, but I think she felt it coming." David sank onto the couch. He put his head in his hands. His shoulders started shaking. Marcus had never seen David cry. Not at the funeral, not at the burial. Not once in 20 years of knowing him. But he was crying now. "I blamed you," David said, his voice muffled. "For 2 years I blamed you. Because blaming you was easier than accepting that she was just gone. That there was no one to punish, no one to hate. Marcus sat down across from him. I blamed myself too. Every day. Every single day I asked myself what I could have done differently. What I missed. What signs I should have seen. Did it help the blame? No. It just made everything harder. David looked up. His eyes were red and swollen. I've been drinking, he said. For 2 years. Started the week after the funeral and never stopped. Lost my job. Lost my apartment. Lost everything. I didn't know. You didn't ask. You made it clear you didn't want to hear from me. I know. I know I did. David wiped his face with the back of his hand. I was angry. I was so angry, Marcus, and I needed someone to be angry at. So you chose me. You were easy. You were there. And you survived. The word hung in the air. Survived. Like it was an accusation. Like staying alive was something Marcus should apologize for. I wanted to die, Marcus said quietly. After she was gone. There were nights I sat in the dark and thought about how easy it would be to just stop. Nora made a small sound. But I had Lily, Marcus continued. I had a 6-year-old daughter who needed her father, so I kept going. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. David was quiet for a long moment. How is she, Lily? She's amazing. She's the best thing in my life. Does she remember Rachel? Every day. We talk about her. We visit her grave. We planted sunflowers in her garden because they were her favorite. David's eyes filled with fresh tears. Rachel loved sunflowers. When we were kids, she used to pick them from the neighbor's yard and bring them home. Mom would yell at her, but Rachel didn't care. She said beauty was meant to be shared. Marcus smiled sadly. That sounds like her. I miss her. David's voice broke. God, I miss her so much. I know. I miss her too. They sat in silence. The weight of 2 years of anger and grief and misunderstanding pressing down on them. Finally, David spoke. I didn't come here to start a fight. I came here because I needed to see you. I needed to tell you I was sorry. Sorry for what? For blaming you. For shutting you out. For missing 2 years of my niece's life because I was too wrapped up in my own pain to see that you were drowning too. Marcus didn't know what to say. I know I can't take it back, David continued. I know I can't undo the things I said at the funeral, but I'm trying to get better. I'm in a program. 30 days sober as of yesterday. That's good, David. That's really good. It's a start. He looked at Nora. I'm sorry for what I said about the necklace, for calling you a replacement. It's okay. It's not. But thank you for saying it. He stood up slowly, like a man who had aged 10 years in the past hour. I should go. I've caused enough damage for one day. Where are you staying? Marcus asked. There's a motel on Route 9. I'll be there for a few days. That's where I stayed when I first came to town, Nora said. Then I guess we have something in common. He walked toward the door, then stopped. Marcus. Yeah. Can I see Lily? Before I leave town, I know I have no right to ask, but she's all I have left of Rachel. Marcus thought about his daughter, about how she asked about her Uncle David sometimes, about how she kept a photo of him and Rachel from when they were kids taped to her bedroom wall. Come to dinner tomorrow night, at our house. We'll make it a family thing. David's face crumpled again. Family. You're still family, David. That never changed. David nodded. He couldn't speak. He just walked out the door and closed it behind him. Marcus let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Nora was at his side instantly. Are you okay? I don't know. I think so. I think I will be. That was intense. That's one word for it. She wrapped her arms around him. He buried his face in her hair. "I'm sorry," he murmured, "for bringing my family drama into your life." "You didn't bring anything. It showed up on its own." She pulled back and looked at him. "But Marcus, what he said about Rachel, about her knowing something was wrong, do you think that's true?" Marcus thought about the necklace, about Rachel's strange gift to a stranger, about the way she'd held him extra tight the morning of her surgery. "I think Rachel always felt things more deeply than the rest of us. I think she saw the world in ways we couldn't understand." He touched the locket around Nora's neck. "And I think she wanted to make sure something of her survived, even if she didn't." Nora pressed her hand over his. "She's still here," she whispered. "In this, in Lily, in you, in the garden and the sunflowers, and the way you're learning to smile again. And in you." Nora's eyes glistened. "And in me." The next evening, David came to dinner. Lily didn't remember him at first. She hid behind Marcus's legs, peeking out at this tall stranger who looked vaguely familiar. "Hey, Lilybug," David said, crouching down to her level. "Do you remember me? You look like the man in my picture." "What picture?" "The one with Mommy, from when you were little." David's breath caught. "That's me. I'm your Uncle David. I'm sorry I've been gone so long." Lily studied him with those serious green eyes. "Daddy said you were sad, like he was sad." "That's right. I was very sad." "Are you still sad?" "A little bit, but it's getting better." Lily nodded solemnly. Then she reached out and took his hand. "Come see Mommy's garden. We planted sunflowers. Daddy said they were her favorite." David looked at Marcus, his eyes swimming with tears. "Go," Marcus said. "She's been wanting to show someone." Lily led David through the house and out the back door. Marcus watched them go, his heart full of something complicated and beautiful. Nora appeared beside him. "You did a good thing, letting him come." "He needed it. Lily needed it too, I think. She doesn't have enough people who remember Rachel. Now she has one more." They watched through the window as Lily pointed out each plant, explaining what it was and how they'd cared for it. David listened with the intensity of a man trying to memorize every word. "He loved her," Marcus said quietly. "Rachel. He loved her more than anyone except maybe me and Lily. That's why he was so angry." "Yeah, love and grief, they're two sides of the same coin. The deeper you love, the harder you fall when it's gone." Nora squeezed his hand. "Then we must have loved very deeply, both of us." "We did. We do." Dinner was awkward at first. Too much history. Too many unspoken words. But Lily, as always, broke through the tension with her relentless 6-year-old energy. "Uncle David, do you like spaghetti? Miss Nora made it. She burned it last time, but Daddy helped her this time, so it's better." "I didn't burn it that badly," Nora protested. "You set off the smoke alarm." "That's different than burning." "How?" "It just is." David laughed. A real laugh. It sounded rusty, like something that hadn't been used in a long time. "You sound like Rachel," he said. "She could never admit when she messed something up in the kitchen either." "Really?" "Oh yeah. Once she made a cake for my birthday, and it came out completely flat, like a pancake. She insisted it was supposed to be that way. Called it a birthday pancake cake." Lily giggled. "That's silly." "That was your mom. She could convince anyone of anything." "Tell me another story." David looked at Marcus, asking permission. "Go ahead," Marcus said. "She needs to hear them." So David told stories. About Rachel as a kid, always climbing trees and scraping her knees. About Rachel in high school leading protests and organizing charity drives. About Rachel in nursing school staying up all night to study and still finding time to volunteer at the homeless shelter. Lily listened with rapt attention, soaking up every detail. "She sounds like a superhero," she said when David finished. "She was sweetheart. She really was." After dinner, Lily insisted on showing David her stuffed animal collection. They disappeared upstairs, leaving Marcus and Nora alone in the kitchen. "This is good," Nora said, loading dishes into the sink. "This is healing." I didn't think it was possible. After what he said at the funeral, I thought we'd never speak again. Grief makes people say things they don't mean, and sometimes it takes years to find the courage to take them back. Marcus dried a plate thinking. He blamed me for surviving. I blamed myself too. But somewhere along the way I stopped. "When did that happen?" "When I met you." Nora looked up. "You made me realize that surviving wasn't something to be ashamed of, that Rachel saved you for a reason, that my being alive wasn't a betrayal of her memory." He set down the plate. "You saved me, Nora, just like she saved you." "We saved each other." "Yeah, we did." He kissed her, soft and slow and full of promise. When they pulled apart, David was standing in the doorway. Lily was holding his hand. "Sorry," David said. "Didn't mean to interrupt." "You're not interrupting anything," Marcus said. "Yes, he was," Lily announced. They were kissing. Again. They do that a lot. Nora's face turned red. David smiled. The first real smile Marcus had seen from him in years. "Good," he said. "That's good." The next morning, David came by before heading back to Columbus. Lily hugged him for a full 5 minutes and made him promise to visit again soon. "I will, Lilybug, I promise." Pinky promise. Pinky promise. She ran inside to get a drawing she'd made for him. David and Marcus stood on the porch in silence. "Thank you," David said, "for last night, for letting me be part of this again. You were always part of this. You just forgot for a while." "I forgot a lot of things." He paused. "But I'm remembering now. The program is helping. The meetings. Talking about her. I'm glad." "Marcus, there's something I need to tell you." "What?" David reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. "I found this when I was cleaning out my apartment. It was in a box of things Rachel gave me years ago. I forgot I had it." Marcus took the envelope. His name was written on the front in Rachel's handwriting. "What is this?" "I don't know. I didn't open it. It wasn't addressed to me." Marcus stared at the envelope. His hands were shaking. "She must have written it a long time ago," David said. "Maybe before you got married. Maybe after Lily was born. I don't know. But it's yours." Lily came running back with her drawing. A firefighter with purple hair and a big smile. "This is for you. It's me as a firefighter because I decided that's what I want to be too, like Elliot." David took the drawing with trembling hands. "It's perfect, Lilybug. I'll hang it on my wall." He hugged her one more time, shook Marcus's hand, and walked to his car. Marcus watched him drive away, the envelope burning a hole in his pocket. He waited until that night to open it. Lily was asleep. Nora had gone back to her apartment. The house was quiet. Marcus sat at the kitchen table, the envelope in front of him. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. Finally, he tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper folded twice. Rachel's handwriting covered both sides. He started reading. "My dearest Marcus, if you're reading this, something has happened. I don't know what or when, but I've learned to trust my instincts, and something has been telling me to write this letter for weeks now. I want you to know that loving you has been the greatest adventure of my life. From the moment we met at that terrible party, with the even more terrible music, I knew you were someone special. Someone worth knowing. Someone worth keeping. We've built such a beautiful life together. Our home, our garden, our Lily. Every morning I wake up grateful that I get to share this world with you. But I need to tell you something important. If I'm gone, I don't want you to stop living. I don't want you to spend years drowning in grief, closing yourself off from the world, punishing yourself for surviving. I want you to keep going. I want you to plant sunflowers and make terrible pancakes and take Lily to the park on Saturday mornings. I want you to laugh and love and find joy in the small things. And Marcus, if you find someone new, someone who makes you smile, someone who sees you the way I see you, I want you to let them in. I want you to love again. Not because I want to be replaced, but because you have too much love in your heart to keep it locked away. You deserve happiness, Marcus. You deserve a full life. You deserve someone who will stand beside you and remind you that you're enough even on the days when you don't believe it. So this is my permission, my blessing, my final gift to you. Live, Marcus. Live fully and completely and without guilt. And know that wherever I am, I'm watching over you. I'm cheering for you. I'm so proud of the man you are and the father you've become. I love you. I will always love you. Forever yours, Rachel. P.S. Take care of the tomatoes. They need more water than you think. Marcus put down the letter. Tears were streaming down his face. His whole body was shaking. She knew. Somehow she knew. And she had given him permission. Before Nora, before David, before any of it. She had told him to live. He picked up his phone and dialed Nora's number. Marcus, it's almost midnight. Is everything okay? I need to see you. Can you come over? Now. Please. 20 minutes later, she was there. Marcus showed her the letter, watched her read it, watched the tears fall down her cheeks. Oh, Marcus. She knew I would need this. She knew you better than anyone. Marcus took the letter and folded it carefully. I've been holding back, he said. With you. With us. Part of me felt like moving forward was betraying her, like being happy meant forgetting her. And now I know she wanted this. She wanted me to live. She wanted me to love again. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Nora's eyes went wide. Marcus, I was going to wait. I was going to give us more time. But life is short. I learned that the hard way. He opened the box. The rose gold ring with the emeralds caught the light. I'm not asking you to marry me tonight. I'm asking you to think about it. To consider a future where we build something together. You and me and Lily. Nora was crying now. I don't need to think about it. What? Yes, Marcus, yes. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Yes, she said again, laughing and crying at the same time. 1,000 times yes. He pulled her close and held her tight. And somewhere he could have sworn he heard Rachel laughing. The wedding was set for October. Not a big affair, not a grand production, just family and close friends gathered in the backyard of Marcus's grandfather's house, surrounded by the garden Rachel had planted and they had brought back to life. Lily insisted on being the flower girl. She spent 3 weeks practicing her walk, throwing imaginary petals, with the solemnity of a surgeon performing a delicate operation. You have to do it slow, she explained to Nora. And you have to smile, but not too much because it's serious business. Serious business, Nora agreed. Got it. Helen had come around completely by then. Something shifted in her the day she saw Rachel's letter. She read it 3 times, crying harder each time, and when she finished, she pulled Marcus into a hug and didn't let go for 5 minutes. She always knew, Helen whispered. She always knew exactly what you needed. She did. I'm sorry I fought this. I'm sorry I made it harder. You were protecting Rachel's memory. I understand. I was being stubborn. There's a difference. She pulled back and looked at him with red eyes. Nora is good for you. I see it now. Rachel would have loved her. You think so? I know so. They're the same kind of person. The kind who stops when everyone else keeps driving. David flew in from Columbus 3 days before the wedding. He looked different, healthier. His eyes were clear and he'd put on some weight. 6 months sober, and it showed in every line of his face. You clean up nice, Marcus said, meeting him at the airport. Turns out not poisoning yourself with alcohol every day does wonders for your complexion. David grabbed his bag. How's the bride-to-be? Nervous, excited, driving herself crazy with details that don't matter. Sounds about right. Rachel was the same way before your wedding. Remember the napkin crisis? Marcus laughed. She almost postponed the entire ceremony because the napkins were eggshell instead of ivory. Mom had to talk her down for 2 hours. Good times. They walked to the car in comfortable silence. The tension that had defined their relationship for 2 years was gone, replaced by something that felt almost like brotherhood again. I have something for you, David said once they were on the road. A wedding present? You didn't have to. I know I didn't have to. I wanted to. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small wooden box. Open it. Marcus waited until they were stopped at a red light. He lifted the lid. Inside was a photograph. Rachel and David as kids, maybe 8 and 10 years old, standing in front of a field of sunflowers. Rachel was grinning, missing her 2 front teeth. David had his arm around her shoulder. I found it when I was packing up my storage unit, David said. I thought you might want it, for Lily. Marcus couldn't speak. His throat was too tight. The sunflower field was behind our grandmother's house, David continued. We used to play there every summer. Rachel would make flower crowns and pretend she was a princess. I'd pretend I was a knight protecting her from dragons. She never told me about this. There was a lot she didn't tell you. Not because she was hiding anything, but because some memories are so precious you keep them close, like treasures you don't share with anyone. Marcus looked at the photo again, at Rachel's gap-toothed smile, at the sunflowers towering behind her. Thank you, David. This means everything. She would have wanted you to be happy, Marcus. She would have wanted all of this. The wedding. Nora. Moving forward. He paused. I think she planned it honestly. I think she knew somehow that Nora was out there and she sent her to you. You believe that? I'm learning to. Some things are too perfect to be coincidence. The night before the wedding, Marcus couldn't sleep. He sat in the garden surrounded by tomato vines and sunflowers, listening to the crickets sing. The moon was full, casting silver light over everything. Couldn't sleep either. He turned. Nora was walking toward him, wrapped in a robe, her crutch clicking softly on the stone path. You're not supposed to see me before the wedding. It's bad luck. That's for the groom seeing the bride. I think we're safe. She lowered herself onto the bench beside him. What's on your mind? Everything. Nothing. He exhaled slowly. Tomorrow I'm getting married again. I never thought I'd do this again. Having second thoughts. No, not even close. He took her hand. I'm just processing. 2 years ago I was drowning. I couldn't see a way forward. And now I'm here in Rachel's garden, about to marry the woman she saved. It's a lot. It's everything. They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the night. Can I tell you something? Nora said. Always. When I woke up in the hospital after the accident, I asked the nurse if Rachel had left her contact information. I wanted to thank her. I wanted to find her. What did the nurse say? She said no one had left any information, that sometimes angels appear and disappear, and all we can do is be grateful they showed up at all. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. An angel. That's what I thought of her. For 3 years, she was just this mysterious angel who had saved my life. I didn't know her name. I didn't know her story. I just had the necklace and the memory of her voice. And then you found us. And then I found you. She squeezed his hand. Marcus, I don't know why she stopped that day. I don't know why she gave me the necklace, or why I felt compelled to find her family. But I know this: every step of my journey led me here. To you. To Lily. To this garden. You think she planned it? I think some things are bigger than planning. Some things are fate. Marcus looked up at the stars. Rachel used to say that everything happens for a reason, even the bad things, especially the bad things. She said that pain was just love with nowhere to go, and eventually it finds its way back to you in a different form. She sounds like she was very wise. She was. Wiser than me, that's for sure. He turned to face Nora. I loved her with everything I had. I will always love her. She will always be part of me. I know. But I love you too. Differently, but just as deeply. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Nora's eyes glistened. Because of the letter. Because of you. Because you never asked me to choose. You never made me feel like loving you meant forgetting her. You let me carry both. Love isn't a finite resource, Marcus. The heart doesn't run out. It just grows to hold more. He leaned over and kissed her forehead. Where did you learn that? A wise woman on the side of the road. She was holding my hand while I bled out, and she told me that the love we give doesn't disappear. It echoes. It multiplies. It finds its way back to us in ways we never expect. Rachel told you that. Rachel told me a lot of things in those 45 minutes. Most of it I didn't understand at the time. But now I think she was preparing me. For this. For you. Marcus pulled her close. I'm marrying you tomorrow. You are. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you. You are. And I'm never going to stop being grateful that you asked to share my table. Nora laughed softly. It was just an empty chair. It was everything. The morning of the wedding dawned clear and bright. Lily woke Marcus up at 6, bouncing on his bed like it was Christmas morning. Daddy, wake up, you're getting married today. I know, sweetheart. I was there when we planned it. I practiced my walk 3 more times. I'm ready. I'm so ready. I can see that. Helen arrived at 7 with breakfast casseroles and unsolicited advice. David showed up at 8 with coffee and a flask of whiskey for emergencies. Dr. Chen had been invited as a guest, and she brought flowers and a card that made Marcus cry. By noon, the backyard was transformed. White chairs arranged in neat rows. An arch covered in sunflowers and lilies. A small platform where Marcus would stand and wait for the woman who had given him back his life. Elliot arrived with his mother at 1 o'clock. He was wearing his first suit, looking uncomfortable and proud at the same time. You look great, Marcus told him. I feel like a penguin. Penguins are dignified. Penguins waddle. Dignified waddling. Elliot laughed and straightened his tie. Take care of her, he said. I know I've said it before, but I mean it. She's the best person I know. I know she is. That's why I'm marrying her. At 3 o'clock, the music started. Marcus stood at the altar, his heart pounding. David was beside him as best man. Helen sat in the front row, clutching a tissue. Dr. Chen was in the second row, smiling like a proud parent. Lily came first, walking slowly down the aisle, scattering rose petals, with the gravity of someone performing a sacred duty. She reached the end, turned to the audience, and gave a small bow. Everyone laughed. The tension broke. And then Nora appeared. She was wearing a simple white dress, not elaborate, not fancy. Her hair was loose around her shoulders. The silver locket glinted at her throat. She was beautiful. Marcus forgot to breathe. Nora walked down the aisle on her brother's arm, moving carefully but confidently on her prosthetic leg. She had gotten it 3 months ago, a gift from Marcus for her birthday. It had taken weeks of physical therapy, but she'd mastered it. I'm walking down the aisle on 2 legs, she had said, even if one of them is made of titanium. Now, watching her approach Marcus, understood why it mattered so much to her. She wasn't just walking toward him. She was walking toward a new life. A life she had fought for. A life she had earned. Elliot placed Nora's hand in Marcus's. Take care of her, he whispered. I will. Take care of each other. Marcus looked at this boy who had survived a fire because his sister refused to let go. This boy who was going to grow up to save other people the way he had been saved. "We will," Marcus said. "I promise." The ceremony was short and simple. They had written their own vows. Marcus went first. "Nora, when I met you, I was broken. I was drowning in grief, going through the motions, convinced that the best parts of my life were behind me. And then you walked into a diner and asked to share my table, and everything changed." He paused, collecting himself. "You didn't fix me. That's not what happened. What you did was show me that I wasn't beyond repair. You held space for my pain. You honored my past while helping me build a future. You loved Lily as fiercely as if she were your own." Lily beamed from her spot beside Helen. "I don't know why Rachel stopped that day. I don't know why she gave you that necklace. But I truly believe that she knew you would find your way to us. That she saw something in you worth saving. Something that would save us in return." He took a shaky breath. "So today I'm not just marrying you. I'm choosing hope over fear. I'm choosing love over grief. I'm choosing to believe that even the darkest losses can lead to the most beautiful beginnings. I love you, Nora, forever and always, no matter what comes." Nora was crying, so was everyone else. She wiped her eyes and began. "Marcus, 3 years ago I was dying on the side of the road. A stranger stopped to help me. She held my hand. She kept me calm. She gave me her most precious possession and told me to survive because something was waiting for me on the other side of the pain." Her voice trembled. "For 3 years I didn't understand what she meant. I thought she was just saying words, comfort for a dying woman. But now I know the truth. She wasn't just talking. She was prophesying. She was sending me to you." She reached up and touched the locket. "I wear this necklace every day, not because it reminds me of what I lost, but because it reminds me of what I found. A second chance. A new family. A love I never thought I'd experience again." She looked at Lily, then at Marcus. "I can't replace Rachel. I would never try. But I can honor her. I can love the people she loved. I can tend the garden she planted. I can raise her daughter alongside her husband and make sure that her memory lives on in everything we do." She took Marcus's hands. "So this is my vow. I will love you fiercely. I will stand beside you always. I will never ask you to choose between the past and the future because they're both part of who you are. And when the hard days come, because they will come, I will hold your hand and remind you that we survived the worst. We can survive anything." The officiant smiled. "By the power vested in me by the state of Ohio, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." Marcus pulled Nora close and kissed her. The crowd erupted. Lily ran forward and threw her arms around both of them. "We're a family now," she shouted. "We're really a family." Marcus lifted her up and held her between them. "We were always a family, sweetheart. We just made it official." The reception lasted until sunset. There was food and dancing and too many toasts to count. David gave a speech that made everyone cry. Helen gave a speech that made everyone laugh. Dr. Chen gave a speech about the healing power of connection that made Marcus want to schedule another session immediately. Elliot danced with Lily, letting her stand on his shoes while he spun them both around. He caught Nora's eye across the room and mouthed 2 words. "Thank you." She mouthed back, "I love you." As the sun began to set, Marcus found himself alone at the edge of the garden. The sunflowers swayed in the evening breeze. The tomatoes hung heavy on their vines. Everything Rachel had planted was thriving. "Hey!" Nora appeared beside him. "Hey, yourself, Mrs. Webb." "I could get used to that." "Good, because you're stuck with it now." She leaned against him, and they looked out at the garden together. "I was thinking," she said. "About what? About the future. About what comes next." "We have time to figure that out." "I know, but I was thinking, maybe we could add to the garden next spring, plant some new things, start some new traditions." Marcus turned to look at her. Are you saying what I think you're saying? I don't know yet. Maybe. Would that be? Would you be open to that? Marcus thought about Lily, about Rachel, about the family they had built from the wreckage of loss. Yes, he said. I would be very open to that. Nora smiled. Then we'll see what happens. No pressure, no timeline, just possibility. I like possibility. Me too. They stood there as the sun sank below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. That night, after everyone had gone home and Lily was asleep in her bed, Marcus and Nora sat on the back porch one last time. What a day, Nora murmured. What a year. What a life. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I want to read you something. What is it? A letter. I wrote it last night while you were asleep. Nora sat up straighter. A letter to who? To Rachel. She was quiet, waiting. Marcus unfolded the paper and began to read. Dear Rachel, today I married someone new. Her name is Nora, and you saved her life 3 years ago on the side of a road in Columbus. I know you knew something was coming. I know you felt it. And I think you sent her to me on purpose. I think you knew I would need her, and you made sure she found her way to my table. I will never stop loving you, not for a single day. You were my first love, my best friend, the mother of my daughter. You taught me what it meant to love completely without reservation, without fear. But you also taught me that love doesn't end when someone dies. It transforms. It echoes. It finds new ways to grow. Nora isn't your replacement. She's your gift. The final present you left for me and Lily, wrapped in grief and waiting to be discovered. I'm happy, Rachel. For the first time since I lost you, I'm truly happy. And I know that this is what you wanted. So thank you for stopping that day, for giving away your necklace, for loving me enough to let me love again. I'll take care of the tomatoes. I'll raise our daughter. I'll honor your memory in everything I do. And when my time comes, I'll find you. I'll tell you about all the years I lived without you, about all the joy you made possible even after you were gone. Until then, watch over us, cheer for us, be proud. Forever yours, Marcus. He folded the paper. Nora was crying. That was beautiful. I meant every word. I know you did. She took his hand and held it tight. Marcus. Yeah, thank you. For what? For making room at your table. For letting me in. For choosing hope when it would have been so much easier to stay broken. He pulled her close. Thank you for asking to sit down. It was just an empty chair. It was everything. Months later, on a spring morning, Marcus woke to Lily bouncing on the bed again. Daddy, Daddy, the sunflowers are growing. He stumbled outside in his bathrobe. Nora was already there, kneeling beside the garden bed, tears streaming down her face. Look, she whispered. Tiny green shoots were pushing up through the soil, dozens of them, more than they had planted. Where did these come from? Marcus asked. I don't know. We only planted one packet of seeds. Lily crouched down, examining the shoots with wonder. Maybe Mommy planted them, she said. Maybe she came down from heaven and put extra ones in while we were sleeping. Marcus looked at Nora. Nora looked at Marcus. Neither of them said anything, but they both believed. 5 years later, the garden was unrecognizable. Sunflowers towered over the fence. Tomatoes covered every available inch of space. Herbs and vegetables and flowers of every kind filled the beds that had once been empty. Lily was 11 now, still obsessed with purple, still dreaming of being a firefighter like her Uncle Elliot, who had graduated from the academy and was now saving lives in Columbus. And there was someone new in the family. A boy named Daniel, 4 years old, with his mother's auburn hair and his father's stubborn chin. He was crouched in the dirt, examining a worm with the intensity of a scientist. Daddy, look, it's wiggling. That's what worms do, buddy. But why? Because that's how they move. But why do they move? Because they're looking for food. But why? Daniel. Nora appeared behind them, her prosthetic legs steady on the garden path. If you keep asking why we'll be here all day. But I want to know. Some things are mysteries, sweetheart, and mysteries are what make life interesting. Daniel considered this. Okay, but I'm going to figure out the worm mystery someday. I have no doubt you will. Marcus watched his son run off to find Lily, the worm temporarily forgotten. He's relentless, Nora said. He's perfect. He's exhausting. Also true. She sat down beside him on the garden bench. The same bench where they had sat on the night before their wedding. The same bench where Rachel used to drink her morning coffee and talk to plants. I've been thinking, Nora said. About what? About how far we've come. From that diner to this. She gestured at the garden at the house, at the children running through the yard. Sometimes I can't believe it's real. It's real. I know. But it feels like a dream sometimes. A really good dream that I'm terrified of waking up from. Marcus took her hand. You're not going to wake up. This is your life, Nora. Our life. And it's only going to get better. How do you know? Because that's what Rachel promised. Something waiting on the other side of the pain. And she was right. She was always right. Nora leaned her head on his shoulder. I still miss her sometimes. Is that strange? Missing someone I never really knew? You knew her better than you think. You know her through me, through Lily, through this garden, through the choices she made that brought us together. She must have been incredible. She was, and so are you. They sat in comfortable silence, watching their children play, listening to the birds sing, feeling the sun warm on their faces. Marcus. Yeah. Are you happy? He thought about the question. Really thought about it. He thought about the diner where his coffee cup shattered on the floor. About the locket that led a stranger to his table. About the letters and the garden and the sunflowers that seemed to multiply every year. He thought about grief and how it never really goes away, just changes shape. About love and how it grows to fill every empty space if you let it. About second chances and how they don't erase the past, but build on top of it, layer after layer, until something new and beautiful emerges. Yes, he said finally. I'm happy. Good. Nora squeezed his hand. Me too. That evening, after the kids were in bed and the house was quiet, Marcus walked out to Rachel's grave. He did this once a month now, not out of obligation, but out of love, out of gratitude. He knelt beside the headstone and traced her name with his finger. Hey, Rach, it's me. The wind rustled through the trees. Daniel found a worm today. He asked why it wiggled. I told him it was a mystery. He smiled. You would have loved him. He has your curiosity, your need to understand everything. He paused. The garden is thriving. More sunflowers this year than ever. Lily says you plant extra ones when we're not looking. I told her that's impossible, but honestly, I'm not so sure anymore. He sat back on his heels. I'm happy, Rachel. I know I've told you before, but it still feels important to say. I'm happy, and I'm not guilty about it anymore. I know this is what you wanted. I know you planned all of it somehow. A tear slid down his cheek. I will always love you. I will always miss you. But I'm living now, really living, and it's because of you. He stood up slowly. Thank you, Rachel, for stopping that day, for giving away your heart, for loving us enough to let us go. He pressed his hand against the cold stone one last time. Forever yours, he whispered. Then he walked back to the house where his wife was waiting, where his children were sleeping, where his life was full and beautiful, and exactly what Rachel had always wanted for him. And in the garden the sunflowers swayed in the moonlight, tall and golden and eternal. Still growing, still reaching toward the sun. still reminding everyone who saw them that love never dies. It just finds new ways to bloom.